Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Can you believe that we're not reviewing one of the Transformers movies? Michael Bay had the wherewithal to put this movie, this not Transformers related movie, in between two, yes, Transformers related movies. For this occasion, we got each of the three people, including our new guest, Tom. We changed our profile pictures to match the characters in the movie. Got Dwayne Johnson, Mark Wahlberg. Don't forget Andy Griffith from Frosty the Snowman too. Everyone's here.
Yeah. The third main character of Pain and Gain, Anthony Mack. I mean, the character from Frosty the Snowman too.
Andy Griffith from Frosty the Snowman, Frosty's Wonderland.
Yeah. Just like how he did the narration for the second Frosty movie, he also did all the narration parts in this movie.
I thought that was pretty impressive. There was a lot of narration.
It was really
too much narration.
Yeah, also like the impressions he did of all the actors were just spot on. It was really kind of crazy.
You really gotta give it to him. Probably the best performance at any Michael Bay movie. Speaking of which, hello everyone, and welcome to the Baycast, the podcast where we talk about every single Michael Bay movie. I'm your host, Jacob.
I'm the usual co-host, Mike, and we're introducing a new challenger. Not challenging us, challenging, I don't know, the norm, Tom.
Hello. Yes, I'm here to challenge Michael Bay because I think his movies suck.
Yeah, I saw Ambulance. And okay. I'm getting ahead,
yeah,
but
this is the first podcast.
Jacob is like,
yeah.
Jacob is like Ambulance Lover 53. Tom is like Ambulance Hater 53, and I have not seen it.
Yes. So for those who are wondering, this we're recording this like the weekend, or I guess a few days after Ambulance came out, and I have some pretty interesting thoughts about the movie, but you're gonna have to wait for those for a few weeks before we get to Ambulance. But let me just say, I really liked it.
I'm gonna resist the urge to bash this movie to bash Ambulance so we can stay on track here. I really did not like that movie, but we don't have to talk about
the ongoing feud. But for now, we're not feuding with each other about Ambulance. We're watching everyone in Pain and Gain feud with each other.
Yep.
Because this is a Michael Bay movie where characters are the focus.
It's so weird. I would say this is his only non-action movie, I would probably say. It's also his lowest budget movie other than the first Bad Boys, which is pretty interesting.
This movie had a remarkably small budget, especially coming between Transformers 3 and 4, which were not just big budget movies, like huge budget movies, even for the kind of CGI, apocalypse destruction movies coming out during that time.
I wonder if the reason it was so low budget was partially because I didn't really see a lot of product placement in this one.
There was some Taco Bell.
Oh yeah, there was a huge Taco Bell product placement.
Right, yeah, I remember that one.
And Home Depot.
Like it wasn't as funny as in Kung Pao, but
yeah, I mean, compared to other movies where it's just like I've seen of his where it's just like back-to-back product placement,
Transformers 4.
It felt relatively tame, I will say.
Mm-hmm.
I would say most of the movie. I'm not going to say it felt tame because it's a surprisingly tense movie. It's dense and it's tense, but it isn't bombastic in the usual Michael Bay way. It's out there, it's eccentric, but it's not what you'd expect nestled between $2 billion+ action movies.
Yeah. There's two pretty interesting things I want to mention before we start talking about it. One, this is based on a true story. And this is a fucking weird true story. Let me tell you.
That's probably why he did it. I'm like, Michael Bay is like, it's about Americans, weird, grilling hands.
Yep. That weird, this is still a true story part that we'll get to soon. Also, I just want to say, this movie was written by the two people who also wrote the Captain America trilogy and Avengers Infinity War and Endgame. So,
and Mission Impossible 6.
Was it 6? I haven't been able to find that on their
I'm pretty
IMDb.
sure. I thought they were the later ones. I'm fairly sure it was. I could be wrong on that one.
I'm not sure about that, but yeah, they did write a good chunk of the Marvel movies, which I thought maybe I would be able to see a relationship between, but honestly, not really. It's a pretty different movie than most of the Marvel movies. But I just give credit to them.
One-liners, come on.
Yeah.
No, I don't know why I thought that. I think I got Chris McFeely or whoever the hell with Chris McQuarrie. Whoops.
Oh yeah.
Taking the L
Yeah, like both Christopher M's.
happens.
Yeah. Um so how do you want to start talking about this movie? Because there's a lot to talk about
I
here,
think the best way to start is how it's framed, because structurally it's not ordered strangely, but it's organized strangely.
Sure,
Where
yeah.
that it begins in medias res. You start with Mark Wahlberg doing some exercises with his iconic mantra, um, and then cops come, and then the title card, the movie shifts back to the past. But the whole movie, besides that, is in order. But as we mentioned with narration, every fucking character gets quite a bit of narration,
Mm-hmm.
and it just kind of pops up. Like, Dwayne Johnson will be in a scene, and then you hear narration from him. The guy Victor, there's like pseudo. He's not even really the antagonist. He's framed as the antagonist for most of it. Like he has lines and such. I mean, realistically, it's because even though they're not the worst writers Bay's worked with, they clearly didn't know how to make any of the story make sense without telling it to the audience. So they just made everyone tell everything to the audience. But in a story this weird and convoluted, I think that's fair.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I just at some point I was with it at first, but then at some point I got like sick of it. Like it felt like one of the shows that would like do a parody of movies that do narration. It felt like a parody of narration movies.
Yeah, I would say that.
This movie's tone is paradoxically very tongue-in-cheek and very dark and like disturbed.
Yeah, this is like equal parts drama and like really, really dark drama and really, really funny comedy.
Yeah.
It's very weird in its tone.
Which I mean, we've seen Michael Bay attempt drama and fail. We've seen Michael Bay attempt comedy and almost succeed, not like intentionally, but in this movie, I would say this is the most intentionally funny of his. But it also had some of the moments where I was actually curious about character motivation. Like I was actually thinking about like, wow, that's kind of fucked. Is this gonna like, huh? Which I mean, I guess once again, having at least decent screenwriters will do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I also want to mention how this movie, this movie is very weird in that like throughout like the first few minutes, like I was thinking like during Mark Wahlberg's opening narration, I was thinking, is that the most blatant America propaganda I've ever heard? Or it's like a somewhat smart commentary on like masculinity and pride, which as the movie goes on, it's definitely the latter, which I have to respect for Michael Bay, because most of his movies are the epitome of like romanticizing masculinity and pride. So
and the American spirit. That's a major through line of this, is that the main characters are all deluded by some belief. But it's not portrayed in a normal Michael Bay way where it's like, oh, this character is insane and is motivated by this, and you have to accept that. It's actually addressed as a character flaw for the most part. Mark Wahlberg by his kind of sick, distorted American dream. Anthony Mackie by he's I mean, even though it's a major part of the movie, he's kind of like the character that's the mouthpiece for sex and profanity. And then Dwayne Johnson is like a distorted version of Faith.
Mm-hmm.
That was fairly interesting to have the characters kind of sort of embody those.
Yeah, they each like filled a very specific purpose.
Yeah, Dwayne Johnson's character didn't make sense to me at some point. It was like he was like a guy who was in police for a couple of years, but at the same point he was like he almost came off as like naive, which didn't like track with the history of which didn't track to me with like the history of the character, that he was like a person who had done drugs and stuff, and yet he seemed like he experienced like the rougher parts of life, and yet he seemed like completely naive and like gullible.
I didn't gullible to some extent. I agree with. I think the character. I'm not going to say he was like used the best. I mean, I think the performance by Dwayne is very amusing. I think of the three, he gives it the most. But I will say, in the beginning of the movie, he's introduced fairly like not late in, but later than you'd think. Like you see Mark Wahlberg and Mackie the first 20 minutes, then just Dwayne materializes out of thin air. But his character setup is that he was a cop, and then he was, dissuaded, and that really fucked him up. He went to jail. He found religion, and by all accounts, at the beginning of the movie, he was reformed. And then through his clearly throughout the whole movie, and it goes from a temptation, as even he says explicitly, like there's a lot of things to tempt me in Miami. I think it was just all the promise of wealth and crime took him over, and by the halfway point, he is probably the most ambivalent towards their crimes of all of them.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not going to say it was the most like detailed, like oh, is this character journey so awesome? This arc is sick, but it was there. I think his naivete, as you said, is not only is it intentional, but I think it's earned with the backstory, and then the fact it's undone is like, oh shit, this was actually the best of the three, and now he's as bad as the rest of them. I think that was kind of the point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. I just want to mention a couple more things with the plot first. So, Mark Wahlberg. Well, first of all, in the opening scene, I just want to say this movie is very unrealistic, and that no way Mark can do those pull-ups. Like, come on. But also, yeah. But also, so yeah, he was like, his character is that like, he's like fucked up with the law like many times, but like he was like basically able to convince this owner of like this elderly gym to like hire him and like turn the place around, basically just due to like his ego and pride, which I mean it did work.
His drive.
Yeah, his drive, I guess. His drive and power. He stays hungry, he devours.
Yeah. Devour, man.
And so yeah, he's able to turn this gym, Sun Gym I believe it's called, around to like this huge bodybuilding megaplex, and he's basically like, how do I describe it? Like the absolute like epiphany of toxic masculinity in it, and
yeah,
there's so many funny lines that I want to mention, like from this first bit. There's two specifically actually. Basically says the line to, I believe it's what's his name? When he says it to Victor, I think it was, where he says, "You know who invented salad? Poor people." And also like sorry, and he's also like saying like in the like also that like he's like oh you make and you pay back, like you make what you earn, and he's like bills suck, I hate taxes. Yeah. So he's contradicts himself like so much, and you see how that plays in later in the plot when he basically just wants to get paid with like as little work as possible. Like
even though he preaches about work, his only work is trying to better himself physically, and everyone around him sees that as genuine ambition when it's just narcissism.
Yep.
I think that character is like almost perfectly cast and perfectly acted by Mark. I didn't say it was the best performance, but that's what Mark Wahlberg is like. So
yeah,
it's like very believable.
God, don't look up what he did in the 80s. Just don't.
Don't look it up.
Yeah.
You just gotta ignore that. Go see Uncharted in theaters. Don't see Uncharted. Watch this instead.
Go see Father Stew in theaters.
Oh fuck, that's actually in theaters. God,
yeah.
Which one is that one?
It's a new one where he's like a priest guy. He's like Dwayne Johnson's character.
Oh right. Yeah, I saw a trailer for that one. Yeah.
I was thinking throughout the entire movie.
Okay?
This is a Father Stew prequel because he was like a criminal before he became a priest, right? So this is the Father Stew prequel movie.
Dwayne Johnson's character teaches him the merits of religion, and when spoiler alert, he's killed at the end of the movie. Not just killed, he's put to death in jail. At the end of the movie, I guess maybe he's reincarnated as Father Stew. I don't know.
Yeah, that's probably what happened.
Or the end of the movie's lying to you when he moved to Texas and whatever the fuck's going on in Transformers 4. Because honestly, I would believe that the character he plays in this movie is the same character from Transformers 4 and 5.
Cade Yeager.
Well, in those movies, it's just very brief. In those movies, he's equally as stupid and like toxic masculinity man over here, but it's not played for laughs like this. It's not shown as a character flaw. He's just that much of an asshole the whole time.
Very, very different movies.
It's great. It's great to see from literally one movie to the next with the same fucking director, the same fucking actor.
Like 1 year later.
Yeah, the same character archetype getting bastardized. I feel like I watched Mark Wahlberg, the man, get Flanderized by Michael Bay.
I see him put it that way.
Oh gosh, what did you guys think of the main I guess quote unquote antagonist? He feels like more of a victim to me, honestly.
Well, he is a victim for
He's
sure.
called the victim, and his name's Victor. It's clearly intentional.
Yeah. Also, since they since they made the character up to keep him anonymous. Yeah, I now that you mention it, yeah, Victor victim. That's pretty obvious. I should have thought about that.
Well, at the end of the movie, when Ed Harris, by the way, Ed Harris showed up again. I was like, yo, it's a fucking The Rock reunion.
He only shows up in the decent Michael Bay movies.
I suppose. He's not in Bad Boys 2. Is he?
No, but he's in two pretty solid ones, I would say.
Okay, I guess that's fair. Ed Ferris.
Yeah, his acting was pretty good, I thought.
Ed Harris is good. Even in The Rock, which I know you haven't seen, Tom, he plays a very generic, disavowed military man, and that character has almost no development. But Ed Harris makes it almost feel like a character.
Yeah,
seems like I haven't seen very much with him, but he seems like even just from these kind of crummy movies, he seems like a good actor. So good for him.
Mm-hmm. Also, I really liked his almost Hunter S. Thompson look with that fedora hat.
I thought when he appeared, I'm like, yo, because I didn't know he's in this movie. So it's the audience reaction to Ed Harris materializing in this movie. But then he appears about halfway through. It's right about when I was gonna call them the Pain and Gainers, which is not what they're called. That's what they should be called. Start becoming opulent and especially greedy about the halfway point, and that's when Victor gets a hold of this detective guy who becomes the actual the hero, more or less.
Pretty much, because our three leads are absolutely terrible people. So
they're the protagonists, but they're obviously in the wrong. They're all sent to jail, and two of them are killed. Two of them are executed. So,
sorry, you go.
I was just gonna say, I've already forgot the name of his name. And his voice is actually good for narration, honestly. It was very, very nice narration voice.
Ed Harris, yeah. No, he's not, because he narrated the end of the movie, this is a real story stuff. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's actually like a narration voice. Because there's a lot of narration, as we said, a lot. Like every character gets about, even the random stripper that is just literally thrown up. Once again, that character, one could just say, oh, yeah, it's Michael Bay making another extraordinarily weak woman character. But I'm like, the more I think about it, I think everyone in this movie is a parody of characters in Michael Bay films.
Yeah, kind of, to be honest.
I think this is the closest he's ever gotten to self-awareness.
Yeah.
The narration, the editing isn't as terrifying as Armageddon or Transformers 2, but it's fast-paced. But the way it goes from scene to scene at certain points makes me it spends time on the opulent bullshit, the music video for profanity, and when they're actually doing crime stuff, it kind of glosses over it, which I consistently. I don't know. I think I like this movie because it feels like Michael Bay taking a piss out of his own style, but that can't be true because he continued to make movies in his own style, unchanged after.
Yeah, he in fact I would argue he in fact got worse.
Oh, actually, Transformers 4 and 5 are worse than 1, 2, and 3. I don't even know how that's even possible, but it is.
So, yeah, I also want to mention that I guess we'll just briefly describe things. So, Victor what do you say? So, fucking, I can't speak because this movie's so awesome. Mark Wahlberg was a trainer to Victor, and he realized, oh shit, he has a lot of money. And after going to a motivational speech by Ken Jeong's character, where he says,
from Transformers 3,
everyone is a doer or a don'ter. He pretty much just interpreted that as, oh yeah, I'll just steal all of his money, and I'll become a doer. Yeah, so he enlists Dwayne Johnson and Anthony Mackie's character, and I just want to say, I love how shitty of criminals they are. It reminded me of season 1 of Breaking Bad. And I love that.
Yeah, it is funny.
Yeah.
It's really funny. And just an aside about Ken Jeong, I feel like Michael Bay's choices for how they cut the movies is such a disservice to how funny some of the comedians are. Because I feel like every time I recognize someone, I recognize that that's a funny person. Despite that, they just appear unfunny in Michael Bay movies because I feel like he just cuts it in a way that makes it harder for them to be funny.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, no, I mean, in any one of his movies, no single part of a single scene lasts for more than like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
No, sir.
This movie, it is at least utilized pretty well because it goes from, oh, they're rich and they're spending shit to, that's horrible, you know. Especially I think the most evident is when they did the Bad Boys 2 shot again, where Mark Wahlberg is getting mad with and physically assaulting a crime, like a porn like not magistrate, but the mogul. Thank you. While in the other room, Anthony Mackie is dancing with the guy's wife, and Dwayne Johnson is doing 100 push-ups. I thought, I mean, it wasn't, once again, the Bad Boys 2 shot is actually awesome, and it being in Transformers was like, oh, they're doing it again. In this movie, at least it seemed to have a purpose compared to the Transformers use, because it showed like, oh, they're partying, they don't care, and then, oh, this is some shady shit. I'm not going to say it's subtle, but at least it's interesting.
Oh, you're talking when you say the Bad Boys 2 shot, you're talking about the thing where like the camera like pans through like a hole in the wall and then like through a hole in the door.
He started that in Bad Boys 2. He did it in Transformers as well, and he done it in this.
Mm-hmm. It's an awesome shot though. I love his use of it.
I mean, Tom, I don't think you've seen Bad Boys 2, but the shot in that is because that's a full action scene that it was originally implemented in, which made it a lot more tense. Which is why I think it was so effective. In Transformers 1, it's for an action scene, but it's less purposeful because it's 9/10 of the way into the action scene. And in this, at least, it isn't an action scene, but it does help build tension. This movie was surprisingly fucking tense.
Yeah, in parts, I would say.
I'm not gonna say this is no uncut gems, but the scene that scene with that with the porn mogul. Mark Wahlberg was acting, but I believe that character felt his shitty, deluded philosophy crumbling before him, and him lashing out, and then feeling relatively little regret. I thought that was well executed.
You know that there was like a 50-something who walked out of this movie thinking, "Oh, Mark Wahlberg deserves an Oscar for this performance. He was magnificent."
Yeah,
Ed Harris, supporting actor. Let's fucking go. Let's nominate him for this 9-year-old movie.
Let's see. So, I just want to mention, like, when they were first like trying to kidnap Victor, like their first attempt at it was to go into his house, and I have the exact quote here: "He's having Shabbat. Mission abort." Because they fucking didn't realize that he had Shabbat on Saturdays or Friday night, I guess. So it was just
the sequence where they try to kidnap him and fail, and then they eventually succeed. I think it's both amusing, but it shows it. Unlike other movies where it'd be like, oh, they failed to do something, isn't that hilarious? In this, it's actually they failed to do this because they're incompetent. The fact they succeeded is essentially a fluke on their own idiocy. I don't know. I feel like though this is going to sound completely blasphemous, and I don't mean it as intensely as you may think, but I think this is to Michael Bay, not his movies, not any type of quality, just what it is conceptually is very similar to Hot Fuzz. Hot Fuzz is a cop movie that makes fun of cop movies. This is a crime kind of drama thing that makes fun of Michael Bay movies. I'm not venturing to say it's as good as Hot Fuzz. Obviously, Hot Fuzz is my favorite movies of all time, and this is a fine movie, but it's not groundbreaking. But they both have that kind of, like I said, that awareness that I would expect from Edgar Wright, but I did not expect from Michael Bay.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely didn't expect this to be like so I wouldn't say tongue in cheek, but definitely self-aware.
Yeah, actually, I agree with you. And like some of like the weird things where he does like kind of like racial stereotyping or like anti-Semitic like stereotyping. Like I don't know whether to critique it or not, because like is it a parody of it itself, or is he like actually taking from like it's supposed to be based on a true story? Is he actually like taking stuff from like real life?
I think Mark Wahlberg probably just said, "Hey, Mike, can I say these cool things about races?" And then Bay's like, "Yeah."
When I'm disguising my voice, can I do a shitty Hispanic accent?
That'd be awesome. Hey, Mike, can you put some non-white people in here so we can make fun of them?
Yeah.
It does want to because I mean, like Transformers or especially Transformers 2 and what was the other one where it was really, really bad? It was like a scene in Armageddon. Yeah, it was the black nurse in Armageddon.
Oh my god,
It's
yeah.
like, and the twins in Transformers. It's like that's actually just Michael Bay's sick, twisted mind. But I feel like this is the writers, like, what would audiences think Michael Bay would say, or what Michael Bay would write someone to say.
Yeah.
And like you meant, like we were saying, is most of it comes out of Mark Wahlberg's mouth, who is this sort of deluded patriot.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like Dwayne Johnson's going around saying stuff like that, or most of the other characters. It's 90% him.
Yeah, and I get it. It's just supposed to like show you like what the character, like, just give you like
his fucked up philosophy.
Yeah, the character's fucked up philosophy and like what he thinks about people. Yeah.
I think my favorite part regarding that is when they buy the electric chainsaw made from China toward the end of the movie, and they can't get it to work, and he's like, it's a China piece of crap. Even though like they're obviously just incompetent criminals who couldn't get a fucking electric chainsaw to work.
And then they go to Home Depot, and he's like, there appears to be animal fur in it. And then they're like, oh, what the fuck are you talking about, lady? It's a piece of shit. Like, you're deflecting. That's all. That's all Mark Wahlberg does.
By the way, guys, go to Home Depot where you can cover up a murder.
It's pretty entertaining.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, it's so good. I just want to mention I want to mention when they were holding Victor hostage, they were holding him in like the fucking like sex toy sex dungeon
warehouse.
Yeah, it was so funny. Like when they start slapping around with dildos, like it's so stupid. It's so stupid.
It is incredibly stupid. But
again, it's based on true story.
I've never been a particular fan of just like, this is profane, so it's funny. But this movie, some of that stupid shit amused me because it's like woven into the story. Like, it's not just haha laugh, it's a dildo. It's like haha, like they're in a warehouse full of that shit. So when you see it, it's less surprising than most of the crime stuff they're doing. Like the conventionally absurd is the normal in this movie. And when things are crazy, it's just because they're forced to not be rich.
Yeah.
Like, that's the status quo, is that they're not rich and they're losers, and they try to overcome that, and they do it and they fail. They do it, they fail. A lot of peaks and valleys with these blokes.
Although, do they explain why they have access to that dildo factory? Like, whose building was that?
I think they mentioned that it was like one of Mark Wahlberg's friends like owned it, but he didn't know it was like a dildo factory.
Yeah,
like,
that was the joke when Dwayne gets there. And I think that's one of the funniest scenes is Dwayne's like, there are sex toys everywhere.
I love how straight he played this role.
It's unusually straight for him. Yeah. He doesn't do any, like Mark Wahlberg does all the yelling. I mean, his character is either the sobered, like hyper Christian guy, or he's just high on coke.
Yeah,
no in between.
And I don't know, the scenes where he's like taking coke are just effortlessly funny because it's Dwayne Johnson saying things the most straight-laced possible. Like, the way, don't you touch my wife. And then, like, are you doing coke? No. It's like, yeah. It shouldn't be funny, but the fact that it's Dwayne Johnson acting as though he has just done mounds of cocaine makes it funny. It's once again the absurdity of it. I think that's why I like this movie so much, because it's very dark or very absurd. It's usually not both.
Like, I was thinking, like, okay, I know this. They said this based on a true story, but like, actually, how true are what they're showing on screen? But then when they showed when he grilled the fucking hands, and he said, "Yep, this is still based on a true story," I was like, I'm done. With
the random text blurbs, I didn't think they were most necessary, but I think that one was 100% earned.
Yep.
It reminded me of Suicide Squad. It reminded me of The Suicide Squad if it was less cleverly done. Because it would show like Operation this, or like The Weak Link or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then that time it said, "Yep, it's still a true story." I was like, "That's fun." Like that's. I think that was the buildup for why they had stupid fucking subtitles for that. It was just so they could make that joke. It was a good joke. Yep. It was a good joke. Can't blame it there.
So let's so I'll also just mention that during the part where during the part where Victor was being held hostage, he had formed, I guess, somewhat of a friendship with Dwayne's character, and Dwayne was trying to, like, since he was Jewish, he was trying to convert him to Christianity, and he just like played along because, or else he was probably gonna fucking die. So he's like, I would like to call you Eldad, even though I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Eldad, but whatever, which means like, like father, which means father in Hebrew, I think. And he's like, I would be honored to be called Eldad. And they just like kind of play with that throughout the rest of the movie, or at least until they think they killed him.
Yeah.
So it just like kind of shows a distortion of religion, I guess.
Yeah, that scene made me uncomfortable. That was
Dwayne.
Tense.
Yeah,
like what you said about Dwayne being very naive. People believes that at that point in the movie. After they quote unquote kill him, that's like the moment that his morality shatters, and he's like, "Oh, we killed him." He doesn't say "I killed him." He says "We killed him" because he's conscious enough to implicate Mark as the guy who said to do all this horrible shit, but too deep in it to feel he can be redeemed. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, for sure. So like when they eventually do like think they killed him, like obviously since they're like so terrible at being criminals, they somehow still fuck it up. And I guess throughout the rest of the movie, we're introduced to Ed Harris, and we see their spending exploits, and there's some pretty great stuff in there. When they, what? Oh my god, there's, I guess, but so they steal Victor's house, and then they try to become like neighborly with all the neighbors.
That's mostly Mark.
Yeah, I guess because like Mark is the one who's like mostly trying to keep up the persona of being like the nice neighborly guy, while Anthony Mackie and Dwayne Johnson are just like fucking off. And by the way, I guess I would just like to mention Anthony Mackie's character subplot. You haven't really mentioned much about him yet. His whole thing is that he's like he works out to compensate for his small curved penis, as Rebel Wilson said. And I find that whole arc very funny.
I was also surprised because even though like Mark Wahlberg said something like derogatory near the end, because I mean I guess derogatory things the whole movie, they didn't decide, oh, it's Rebel Wilson, let's just constantly make fun of her for being overweight. Of the weird fucked up like fake live stuff they had, I feel like Mackie and her had the most genuine until they were roped back into it. Yeah, they had a house outside their budget probably, but they were relatively happy. And it's not, I'm knowing Michael Bay, I thought he would be like, he becomes unhappy because she's not conventionally attractive, but that didn't happen. I mean, obviously they're divorced by the end, but that's because she realizes they killed 2 people in her house. I was impressed. That's like Rebel, and even in movies I really like, Rebel Wilson is usually relegated to like, haha, she's the haha funny one. Like I love Jojo Rabbit, but her character in that is she was putting on a funny accent and you know.
Yeah, for sure. There's definitely more depth to this one, I guess.
Than most movies that fucking drop her in.
Yes, and I have to mention this just because I am the John Wick fan. The penis doctor was the opening antagonist from John Wick.
No, you don't know. That's Peter Stormare, who is in like 5 Michael Bay movies.
Oh, he is.
He's a Michael Bay alum. He's in Armageddon. He was in fuck. Was it there was something else? It was Armageddon. This. I'm sorry. I'll check. If you guys want to talk about something else, I need to fact check that.
Yeah, sure. I guess I'll talk about some things. How pretty much throughout the movie, lawn mowing is like euphoric for Mark Wahlberg's character.
Yeah,
like he mentioned it early on. He's like, I just want a big lawn to mow on my mower where I can sit down on, which is pretty which is pretty different from it's like the laziest lawnmower of all time, the one where you sit down on and just press the gas pedal. But
Yeah,
anyway,
and I love that Sears character, that guy who just like sees the jacked Mark Wahlberg on the lawnmower, like,
Fuck off.
I'll kick your fucking ass, bro.
That
was so
was a
funny.
surprising good Michael Bay extra. There aren't many. That guy was good.
Yeah, and his pseudonym like being like Joe Lawn.
Yeah, that was the funniest thing.
Yeah.
Where he's standing on his lawn and he looks down and it's like Tony Lawn.
it literally makes no sense for him to have that to have that name anyway, because he works at a gym where people know his name, and obviously his friends know his name, so eventually they're gonna fuck it up somehow. So why would you just give a pseudonym for this one random guy? It just makes no sense.
It's just one of those things.
And also he dunks on children, which I right after that
was
well-known
very
scene.
Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah, very very Mark Wahlberg. I literally don't know how they thought. I guess this goes for the people in real life too, but I literally had no idea how they thought this plan was going to work. Because eventually they find out that they're not who they say they are. They say they are, and they stole this guy's house and money. Their plan makes literally zero sense, but I guess this makes it so great.
Money.
Yeah, honestly, I would like to research a little bit on how that actually went down, because the police incompetency feels just a little bit overblown. They just completely ignore him. Maybe that's just how it was in Florida. They just
Ed Harris's character lampshades that a lot. He's like, you guys fucked up. How do you guys keep screwing this up? You're supposed to be on track with this guy. He makes fun of them for that. It's almost like he's taking the piss out of Bad Boys. The series of movies where the police can't do shit.
Yeah, I just wonder.
Also,
if
Miami
really
police.
Yeah, I wonder if that's just really how it was. They were just I guess it's very possible. That I wouldn't put it past the police to stereotype. Oh, you're Colombian. This is probably a cartel thing. We don't want to get involved or whatever.
Yeah, maybe. It is kind of weird how Mark Wahlberg plays a Colombian person in this movie, but I digress.
No, Victor is half Colombian.
Yeah, Victor was half Colombian. I don't know about Mark Wahlberg.
My bad. Victor was Colombian, but also I believe that Mark Wahlberg mentioned that he was half Colombian, half Jewish, which I feel is the two things I would at least see from Mark Wahlberg.
No, Jacob, that's what Victor said.
Oh my god, I'm so dumb. Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Wait, no, I feel like he did say no.
Because he was pretending to be Victor.
No, it was in the beginning of the movie. Wait, was he referring to Victor? I might be dumb.
Yes, he was referring to Victor. He was explaining it to the other guys. He's like, this guy was when he was in crime in Colombia, so he's crafty, whatever the hell he said.
I apologize to everyone in the audience.
Hi.
I made a severe lapse in my judgment. I will do better.
Crazy. Unbelievable.
Please forgive me, Baycast listeners.
Baycast listeners.
Yeah. That's my apology. Picture me holding up a dog while I'm doing it too.
Yeah, wait.
Which one of the dogs from this movie? I saw Michael Bay's dog. I saw Bone Crusher. He was in there.
Yeah, there was a weird amount of dogs. Every time it was just we gotta get the dog.
It was better than Transformers 2, where there was just dogs so they could hump.
Oh my god! Why do you mention that?
Because it's a Michael Bay movie with dogs.
He loves doing that, doesn't he? Also, there's a very good dog in Ambulance. Foreshadowing for you.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
What about the bad guy? The guy's trying to get home.
It's so stupid.
No, but it's awesome. Anyway, so
don't start an Ambulance flame war.
Yeah. So the Dwayne Johnson's character does some pretty stupid things as the movie goes on. The first thing I'd like to mention is that he tries to rob a cash truck from a police robbery, and by doing so, he runs into a hair salon, which is classic Michael Bay. In a chase.
It looked like the exact same hair salon from Bad Boys.
It did, and he's just toe shot off.
He gets his toe shot off. He's like, my toe's off. And Mark Wahlberg's like, you had 10, now you have 9. Gotta deal with that.
Yeah, he did say that. It's so good. These characters are so dumb. I love it.
Exactly. Michael Bay movies are stupid. This one embraced its stupidity, which I respect a little bit. Just the crumb.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Maybe
Let's see,
more than
anything
that.
else? Any other good things in it? Before we, I would say we cover like most of the basics of the plot. But before we do, I
Growing
just want,
hands.
oh my god,
I think that scene was like when it shows this is still a real story was pretty funny. But I think the probably the funniest exchange in the movie is right after that when Mark comes back and he's like, "What the fuck? Why are you grilling the hands?" And then Dwayne's like, "You need to grill stuff out here. I was grilling it inside, and all the smoke was leaving out."
yeah.
It's the perfect scene to encapsulate why Dwayne Johnson is so phenomenal in this movie because he just deadpan says the stupidest shit ever,
Yeah,
and it
this
is funny.
Definitely one of my favorite performances from him, I would say. Because generally he plays like like the somewhat comical, but still like heroic and morally good protagonist, i.e., Jumanji, Rampage, which is what my profile picture is based on. But yeah, he's like really funny and fucked up in this movie, which I have to appreciate.
Yeah, the Christian convert, like criminal guy who goes down as he says, the rabbit hole. He makes a metaphor that took me a second to comprehend earlier on. That was interesting.
You like how the when that old pastor tries to hit on him, he almost kills him, and then that's basically like his convincing that I'll join you, Mark. Why not?
I thought that scene was he's like, I didn't understand it. I'm like, are you gonna finish? You know, you didn't understand. I mean, I understand what's going on, but did you, Dwayne? And then it shows him wiping blood off his hands. Like, oh fuck.
Yep.
Like, because that was the point where he still seemed fairly good-hearted, but something in me just snapped. He said, "Yeah," and like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that was one of the many scenes that made me uncomfortable. Other scenes that made me uncomfortable were the Anthony Mackie masturbation scene. Gross.
Very brief, but at least it was part of his like character. I mean, the least you could say about it.
Yeah, he had to go to the penis doctor.
The penis. Yeah. Peter Stormare is the penis doctor.
And then the other scene that made me uncomfortable was like the neighborhood watch thing. Now that I don't believe, I haven't researched this at all, but I just don't believe that was at all part of like the true story part that they researched. I think
probably not.
I think Michael Bay just included that scene where like, who wants to be the rapist, and all guys like raise their hand and start licking their.
The guy from the island like raises his hand. He's like, "What? I was role playing."
Yeah, that was the guy from the island, right?
Yeah, he's also I think. I know I recognized him first from the island from I think he plays a pretty decent role in Fresh Off the Boat, if you ever watched that show. But yeah, he's a really funny actor, and he was pretty funny in this too.
If it is in fact the same guy from the island, he's did a better job here.
Yeah, definitely.
It's just a way better script than the island.
Mm-hmm. Let's see what else. So
it's really better.
Yeah. Spoiler alert, or I guess if you couldn't figure out already. They spent all their only a few months after they got all of Victor's money, they spent all of it, so they have to do another job to get more money. And as you mentioned before, it was with that porn guy, and things go quite poorly for them when the porn guy not even scooted it, he slightly damages Mark Wahlberg's character's pride, and then he just fucking kills him, and fucking weight drops on his head. Killing him.
He was trying to let him down easy, but then Mark Wahlberg just freaked out anyway.
Yeah.
Classic Mark. Yeah, he probably is Michael Bay's like, hey, Mark, envision this guy as a Vietnamese man, and then that's what happened.
Envision the guy as the guy you almost killed in '86, but kill him this time.
It's like a polka dot man situation. Everyone he sees in his action sequences is just that man.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That begin. I mean, the whole movie has the underlying dark, fucked up stuff. But that's that scene from pretty much until from when the guy dies to just about when they leave to go hide the when they hide the evidence. It's obviously fucked up, but it's very comedic with this silly music playing. But the scene in that house is almost entirely serious.
Yeah.
I mean, it's made comedic because it's Mark Wahlberg just killed someone. That's funny. But they're not doing the normal jokes the rest of the movie was. but it's still, man, just it's like you laugh at it because it's like, you know.
Yeah, I definitely agree
Surprise!
with
I got two different types of emotion. You know, I actually laughed because some of it was funny, but I laughed because it was uncomfortable. Which is once again for a Michael Bay movie, I usually just laugh because the whole thing's uncomfortable and shitty. This time it was
Yeah,
purposeful.
yeah, wow, it's amazing.
Yeah,
Not
who would have
like
thought that a
watching-
decent script would make a decent movie?
Yeah, go fucking figure. God, is it the same assholes that do Transformers 4? I want to see who wrote that movie so I can talk with them. God damn it.
Just want to talk, you know?
Yeah, have a talk like Mark Wahlberg and the porn guy.
Yep.
Nothing
Just a
bad
couple
will come
other
of it.
funny lines I want to mention. When like how far it was? I think it was the manager of Sun Gym. Was calling fucking Victor. Mark Wahlberg was like Star 69 him. He's like, going to have sex with him? Because like that's like the callback thing in the 90s, I guess. And I thought the line was like, again, really stupid joke, but also like kind of funny. I think it's still gets a good laugh out of me. Yeah.
Stupidity fuels this movie's humor,
Yeah.
but it makes it better as a result.
Yeah. So yeah, we already mentioned like a lot of parts about the hiding of the evidence. They go to Home Depot. The place where you go to hide a body or get rid of evidence. You know, thank you, Pain and Gain, for teaching me that. Yeah. So yeah, they do that. Obviously, it fails, and then Mark Wahlberg goes to the Bahamas to go to Victor's offshore account, where he only finds bronze baby shoes. You know, classic Victor. You know. Then,
Victor's back at it again.
Yeah, and they get caught. And the movie, Mark Wahlberg and Anthony Mackie dies, and Dwayne Johnson gets 15 years because of his quote unquote cooperation. Yeah, so that's the plot of the movie.
Confession.
Do you want anything else to mention before we get into some little trivia facts?
We've covered a very solid portion of it.
Yeah. The other thing I want to say is I think it's crazy that that guy got let out.
I think that's why they tried showing Dwayne as a more sympathetic character.
Because I guess he didn't technically kill.
Yeah, I guess that's true. He's like the one actor who didn't. He's the one guy who didn't kill anybody. Yeah, I guess. It's fine to get let out. I mean, if he got sober,
murder, kind of, yeah.
Yeah, if he gets sober, I can imagine him just being an upstanding member of society. But once he gets on cocaine, that guy's kind of scary.
Yeah, don't give Dwayne Johnson cocaine.
Yeah, please.
Okay, let's see here. There are a couple good ones. Not as many as like some other Michael Bay movies, but I have a couple good ones.
More budget.
So apparently Michael Bay wanted Mark Wahlberg to be as tan as possible. So Wahlberg, throughout filming, had to get a full body tan every week for the movie. I guess he's just because he's so pale. I don't know.
What, the tan would wear off after a week?
Yeah, I guess so. Even though he didn't look particularly tan in the movie, to be honest.
For Michael Bay, look, you could compare Mark Wahlberg in any shot in this to any shot of Shia LaBeouf in Transformers 1 or 2. They're fucking like orange in those movies. Mark Wahlberg. Oh yeah, this movie wasn't color graded strangely.
Yeah. Also weirdly little sweat for a movie about bodybuilders.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there was only some, but like not like on like the Transformers 2 or 3 level, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And at least when they were sweaty, it made sense, you know, because they're like bodybuilders or whatever.
Yep.
Again, Michael Bay playing to what he's got.
Oh, here's a good one. Rebel Wilson, an avid nunchucks user, brought her own nunchucks for the sex scene to quote unquote spice things up.
Quote unquote. Method acting.
That was funny that she was just doing the fucking nunchucks.
Yep. Dude, so good. Yeah. I think those were like pretty much most of the good ones.
The two main trivia bits.
But yeah, those are the good ones. I was saying this one had less good ones because there probably wasn't as much Bayham on the set because it was lower budget and probably went
subdued production.
Yeah, probably more straightforward production. Yeah, I thought this movie was pretty solid, all things considered. Definitely not like an amazing or great movie or anything, but for pretty decent commentary. on
Yeah,
both Bay movies. And, you know,
the same vein as Bad Boys 2, where it's just kind of insane and entertaining. But I would say it surpasses it in many ways.
I think I still like Bad Boys 2 a little. I would say, honestly, I would probably say for me, this is like in between Bad Boys 2 and Bad Boys. Like in terms of my enjoyment.
I guess that's fair.
Is that the Michael Bay gold standard? Is it Bad Boys?
Bad Boys 2 is probably the most consistently entertaining. It's insane. It's nonsensical. It's kind of like this if it wasn't self-aware, but if it was even crazier.
And have like a budget like of $110 million more.
Yeah, like six times the current budget. This was made for like 20 million. The Bad Boys 2 was made for like 100 million.
130 million. I mentioned this in the Dead Witch episodes. That's more than any of the Star Wars prequels, which is pretty insane to think about.
That is pretty nuts. Well, what Michael Bay to do now is make an entirely CGI movie.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of did.
Yeah, they got him there.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a pretty great Father Stu prequel, I would say. Tom, you got any closing thoughts?
I really hope I hope I do not have to see Anthony Mackie masturbate ever again.
Dude,
with any luck,
amen, bro. Amen.
With any luck, that will probably that will be fulfilled. You'll be fine.
Yep.
Nice.
I haven't seen 8 Mile. Maybe don't watch 8 Mile just in case.
did he masturbate in 8 Mile? I haven't seen it.
I've never seen it. Now I don't want to see it. Actually, I've just made myself not want to watch 8 Mile. I have the fear that Anthony Mackie.
I used to have fear of like every R-rated movie with Anthony Mackie in it might have him masturbating.
Yeah, like he volunteers to do it every movie.
Oh shit, Tom!
Like the annoying kid in the front of the class who always participates.
Damn it, Tom! I just got a Google alerted me that Anthony Mackie's starring in a Louis C.K. biopic. Fuck.
Oh no!
No. Oh my God.
Is that just a really good joke, or is that actually true?
I just said that. No.
I don't think Hollywood would ever touch Louis C.K. again with a 10-foot pole.
I don't think so.
I'm glad you believed that, though. Look, I'm really taking after my profile picture, the master manipulator. I think that's as good a place to end off as possible. If you're ever watching a movie with Anthony Mackie in it, just don't look at him.
Yep.
He could be jacking off.
Yeah, be wary.
For sure.
Real Steel, 8 Mile, no one's safe.
Nope.
In America.
Right, Michael? Jacob?
Yeah, all right. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Tom, for guest starring here. And join us next week when we talk about the epic 4th installment of the Transformers saga with Cade Yeager.
Also Mark Wahlberg.
Yep.
We didn't get enough of him. Too far of these movies.
Oh, we're getting there, but I guess we'll just have to be persistent. All right.
Good luck, boys.
Take care, guys. See you next week.
Bye.